Hello everyone and welcome to Lost in the Reel. Obviously, it has been quite a while since I've posted something on YouTube. It's been like 2 months. So first and foremost, I want to say I am so sorry, you guys. It has been probably the roughest couple of months of my life in a very long time. And I also wanted to say I've missed you all so much, my FilmTube community and all of my amazing supporters. Thank you for hanging in there and for, supporting me and checking in on me, making sure that I'm not dead. So thank you for everyone who did that. But I wanted to do a quick update before I get started on the video today. Like I said, these last 2 months have been extremely rough. I went to Europe, and it was the trip from hell for many different reasons. I'm not gonna go into much detail on that, but I kind of got home. I was in a really bad mental place. I also needed to look for a job, so I've been doing that. So I kind of decided to take a little bit of time away from YouTube just to, work on my mental health and kind of get back to where I was before. So I'm happy to say I'm doing really well, found a new job. I'm going to start this week. So I might not be posting as much as I did before I left for Europe, but I'm definitely going to be trying to at least post a couple of times a week until I get my schedule on lock. So once again, I missed you guys so much. I'm so happy to be back, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit special. I have been watching a lot of movies while I was gone, so I'm going to be going over some of the most notable releases that I watched, doing quick reviews of those, a nice little review roundup. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, first up is Dune. Now, I won't dive too much into plot details here, as everyone and their mothers have seen this film already, but I thought that the first hour of Denis Villeneuve's Dune was a total slog, and I started to worry I was going to hate one of my most anticipated films of the year. But luckily, the film picks up and becomes an epic feast for your eyes and your mind. The true standouts here are not the big talented cast or the dense adapted screenplay, but pretty much everything in the technical categories. This is one beautiful film that should be respected for the craft on display. I do feel like Dune lacks some heart though, and it also ends in a way that left me feeling oddly dissatisfied, but overall it is stunning, and I am certainly looking forward to part 2. So I will be giving Dune 3.5 sandworms out of 5. I have a feeling that once this story has wrapped up, I will find more appreciation and enjoyment out of this film. But for now, part 1 feels like just that, a half of a complete whole. Next up, we have the psychological thriller, The Night House. Reeling from the unexpected death of her husband, Beth is left alone in the lakeside home he built for her. Soon, she begins to uncover her recently deceased husband's disturbing secrets. I thought that this was one of the most exquisite, haunting, and powerful horror thrillers I have seen in quite some time. Not only was I moved, but I also leapt out of my seat in terror multiple times. Rebecca Hall is sensational here. When will she finally get her dues? Hall probably gives one of the best performances of the year as Beth. You never quite know if she's mentally unstable or onto something that no one else can comprehend. She balances being sort of feeble and erratic one moment and then becomes a force of nature the next. It really is amazing. All in all, I understand why people were disappointed by the ending, but I found it to be one of those finales that really sticks with you and makes you dive deeper into its meaning afterwards. So I will be giving The Night House 4 rickety boats out of 5. This film unfortunately came and went from theaters without much buzz, but if you're looking for psychological horror that doesn't insult your intelligence, The Night House delivers in so many ways. The third film we'll be going over is Bayou. As a Korean American raised in the Louisiana Bayou works hard to make a life for his family, he must confront the ghosts of his past as he discovers that he could be deported from the only country he has ever called home. Every so often a film comes along that rips my heart out of my chest. A film so powerful and moving that it defies its sometimes on-the-nose storytelling to create an experience that is truly unforgettable. Justin Chon and Alicia Vikander are magnetic and their chemistry is scorching. The score pulses its way into your veins. The filmmaking from Chon is gritty and raw. There are so many things about Blue Bayou that make it something really special. There are times as a critic that you are able to look past a film's flaws. And I must admit, this film is certainly not perfect. The plot is meandering at times. Sometimes it feels as if Chon is hitting certain story beats rather than just letting us savor certain moments, among some other nitpicks. But I can look past those issues because Blue Bayou struck a chord with me and made me feel such powerful emotion that I will never forget this film. This is a deeply personal movie that I believe is crucial viewing during these tumultuous times. And I dare you not to erupt into a fit of tears at the end. So I will be giving Blue Bayou 4.5 motorcycles out of 5. Writer, director, actor Justin Chon has crafted a film that resonates on so many emotional and meaningful levels. Despite it being imperfect, this is one of the most timely and important films of the year, and also one of my favorites. Next up is Last Night in Soho. Now, this was one of my most anticipated films of the year, so let's see how it panned out. A young girl passionate about fashion design is mysteriously able to enter the 1960s where she encounters her idol, a dazzling wannabe singer. But 1960s London is not what it seems, and time seems to be falling apart with shady consequences. Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho starts off as a beautiful ode to the 60s and really shows off some movie-making magic in the process. I found myself intoxicated by Soho's first act. The costumes and set design certainly deserve some Oscar love. I truly felt transported to a different time and place. I was savoring every moment and truly thought that this would end up being in my top 10 of the year. But then it devolves into supernatural mumbo jumbo that unfortunately became very repetitive and not at all frightening. You can also see the end from a mile away, and some disjointed logic made me feel like the point of the film was a tad questionable and muddled. Even so, I enjoyed Mackenzie and Taylor-Joy's performances, and the filmmaking on display was absolutely sumptuous. I just wish there was more here than just surface. So I will be giving Last Night in Soho 2.75 little pink dresses out of 5. What starts off as a loving tribute to the 60s turns into a mess of a supernatural horror film. Even still, Wright's filmmaking is top-notch, and Soho is boosted by its two talented young actresses. The fifth film I will be talking about is The Beta Test. An engaged Hollywood agent receives a mysterious letter for an anonymous sexual encounter and becomes ensnared in a sinister world of lying, infidelity, and digital data. A pitch-black satire of Hollywood, a psychosexual thriller, a meditation on society's lust for power and obsession with technology. The Beta Test from the creator of the highly underrated The Wolf of Snow Hollow really has it all. It's anchored by an outstanding manic performance from writer-director Jim Cummings, who completely disappears into the lead role. He's a mix of Jim Carrey's most frenzied roles and Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. Cummings Jordan is an anti-hero that is pretty much impossible to like or even find a morsel of empathy for. He's a man consumed by success and power, and is being eaten alive by the corporate machine. So, when he finds this envelope in the mail inviting him to experience something so wrong, especially since he's about to be married, he decides to go, because somehow it feels so right. almost like it's an escape from the corrupt life he's built for himself. I was gripped from beginning to end. The twists and turns you will not see coming, and the dark humor cuts the tension with a knife. It certainly won't be for everyone, but there is just so much to grab onto here that I cannot wait to revisit this twisted tale again. So I will be giving the beta test 4 purple envelopes out of 5. This film was a huge surprise for me, especially since it has gone so under the radar. Its humor and lack of characters you can root for will turn many people off, but those who can stomach the bad behavior on display here will find the beta test to be a truly original and riveting mindfuck. Next up is King Richard, a huge player in the upcoming Oscars and available now on HBO Max and in theaters. Richard Williams serves as a coach to his daughters Venus and Serena, who will soon become 2 of the most legendary tennis players in history. Despite Will Smith doing a spot-on Richard Williams and commanding the screen in every scene he is in, I couldn't help but yearn for King Richard to center on Serena and Venus rather than their frustratingly stubborn coach/father. Though I think it was an interesting idea to kind of turn the sports biography on its head and focus on Richard's story, I found him to not be the most captivating of characters. Like I said, Will Smith certainly deserves all of the Oscar buzz he's getting right now. But as a film as a whole, I'm not sure this one is Best Picture or Best Screenplay worthy. As it is, it feels pretty conventional, not bringing anything new to the table besides that role switch that I was just talking about. It's also 20 minutes too long. But it is still a solid sports biopic that will certainly be a crowd pleaser for audiences this holiday season. So I will be giving King Richard 3 Venus and Serenas out of 5. I can't help but think that this is just another sports drama with a winning lead performance from Will Smith that has carried it to so much acclaim. Despite my misgivings though, I still enjoyed the movie and think at the very least, it will lift your spirits and put a smile on your face. Next up, we have Daniel Craig's last Bond film, No Time to Die. As a huge fan of the James Bond franchise, mostly the Connery films, I've been impressed by Daniel Craig's performance, but largely unsatisfied with his outings as 007. No Time to Die is definitely one of his best, though far too long and a little overstuffed. Still, this is the first time since Casino Royale that I was emotionally invested in the story. The supporting cast here are all fantastic. Sado, Lynch, and Armas are all shining brightly here. And Malik is a strong villain, though I still think his story is a little half-baked, as with nearly all of the villains in Craig's movies. The action, although admittedly sparse for a Bond film, is pulse-pounding and extremely well choreographed when we do get them. Cary Joji Fukunaga definitely has put his own stamp on No Time to Die and has created one of the best looking Bond films to date. This is a fitting send-off for Craig and one of my favorites in his repertoire. But I think it's time for 007 to go in a much different direction now. So I will be giving No Time to Die 3.75 Aston Martins out of 5. One of the better Daniel Craig Bond films, No Time to Die is filled with wonderful side characters, an emotionally involving story, and superb direction. It suffers from being a bit dense plot-wise, but overall this was a highly satisfying conclusion to Craig's reign as 007. And now we have the BBC made-for-TV movie, Help, starring Jodie Comer. Sarah seems to have found her calling working in a Liverpool care home where she has a special talent for connecting with the residents. Then, in March 2020, the coronavirus pandemic hits. Help is an important film that shines a spotlight on a sector of our society that is rarely touched upon with empathy or understanding: old age care facilities. This harrowing TV movie stars the incomparable Jodie Comer, who is absolutely electrifying here and proves she is the definition of a star. The supporting cast is also fantastic, with many of the elderly patients getting their time to shine and stories that make their struggles all the more real. The first hour of Help is captivating. It hits its pinnacle about halfway through with a terrifying sequence, shot like it's in one take, of a night shift gone horribly wrong during the beginning of the COVID pandemic. Unfortunately, the movie starts to crumble under the weight of its storytelling and kind of sputters to its finale. Even so, as hard as it is to watch pandemic-focused films, as it still feels very fresh, this is one of the best and most realistic ones that will certainly act as a time capsule for all of the mistakes made, lives lost, and what we all collectively endured during 2020. So I will be giving Help 3.25 masks out of 5. Though it doesn't quite stick the landing, Help is a harrowing, all-too-real pandemic story. It might be coming out too soon for some audiences to handle, but it is an important look into a sector of our healthcare system that is overlooked far too often. And in Help, it is approached with such empathy. Last but not least, we have Tick, Tick, Boom, which is now streaming on Netflix. On the cusp of his 30th birthday, a promising young theater composer navigates love, friendship, and the pressures to create something great before time runs out. Tick, Tick, Boom blew me away. Rent has been one of my favorite musicals ever since I started getting into theater, and to see Jonathan Larson being celebrated in such a respectful, profound way made my heart soar. I know Lin-Manuel Miranda has become a little oversaturated recently, with Hamilton being released on Disney+, In the Heights, which I loved, and Vivo and Encanto. But Miranda's star takes a back seat here, despite a small cameo. Tick, Tick, Boom is all about Jonathan Larson's legacy. It is a love letter to the creative process, an ode to the artists out there who put their craft above everything else to bring something meaningful into this world. Andrew Garfield kills it as Mr. Larson, personifying the man to a T, completely losing himself in the role. It would be an absolute shame if Garfield was not, at the very least, nominated for an Oscar for this performance. The music is infectious and powerful, the story is beyond relatable, the direction is, for the most part, scaled back and not too flashy. Miranda really allows the material to speak for itself, and by the end, I was moved to tears. Tick, Tick, Boom is a celebration of art, love, friendship, and life, and I truly, truly hope people seek this one out on Netflix, even if you're not the biggest fan of musicals. So I will be giving Tick, Tick, Boom 4.5 musical notes out of 5. I do believe that Jonathan Larson's legacy has been done justice here. This buoyant, joyous, and heart-wrenching love letter to the creative process is bolstered by a career best performance by Andrew Garfield. This one is not to be missed. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching Lost in the Reel. I just want to say it is so damn good to be back. I missed everyone so much. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of these films in the comments down below. And until next time, take care, everyone.